We are here with Jerry Lee, our good friend from the Rome Rotary Club, who is also chairman of the Rome and Floyd County Board of Elections. Jerry, we asked you to come in today to try to clear up some potential confusion over some of the changes with the voting precincts in the upcoming city election. Of course, early voting is going on as we speak, but the election on November 7th will have some changes for folks. Is that right?
That's correct. Back some time ago, almost a year ago, we determined that several of our precincts had two precincts voting in the same location, which is against the rules. And with this being an off-year election without a presidential or statewide election, we felt that this year was the appropriate year to clean up some of those problems. And so we initiated that. Three precincts, Vans Valley and Barkers, were voting at the VFW. So we merged those two. Garden Lakes and Mount Alto North were voting at the Anthony Recreation Center, so we merged those. And then Riverside and North Rome were voting at the Civic Center, so we addressed that issue. So that was the real catalyst that started this whole process. But what we wanted to do is, while we were doing it, clean up some other activities as well. There were three that we also merged that had rather small voting populations. Texas Valley, we merged into Armurchie to become New Armurchie.
And they will vote where?
They will vote where Armurchie used to vote at Armurchie First Baptist Church Armurchie, there on Martha Berry. Mount Alto South goes into Alto Park and South Rome. So that one probably is a little bit more confusing than any of the others, in that one precinct, some of the voters will go to Mount Alto South and some will go to South Rome at Lovejoy Baptist Church. And then East Lindale, we also split. Part of those voters will go to Lindale, and part of them will go to the East Rome precinct. Again, we had small voting populations at those locations, and it just made sense to do some consolidation. An example of another change that we made were the areas around Berry Forest and Stonebridge were city, and so they were coming all the way down to the Civic Center to vote. Driving past the Glenwood voting precinct at the Thornton Recreation Center, which made no sense at all. So we changed that so that those voters will now vote at the Glenwood Center. We moved some voting locations. The Foster's Mill precinct moved from the little house in the Wildwoods, as we call it, kind of hidden back in the woods, to Cedar Creek Baptist Church, which is a much better, easier to find, and more convenient location, better parking, just a lot of improvement out of that. East Rome, we've moved to Hollywood Baptist for this year. Next year, we will be moving that to 2nd Avenue Baptist, but because of the time constraints and so forth, we're going to Hollywood Baptist. And that's to take it out of the health department headquarters location, which we're using for early voting. And if on election day, that's where we accumulate all of the input from all of the precincts. And so we were, from a logistical standpoint, we just had to make that change. And then we moved Town Rome over to the library.
Make it a lot easier to access for folks.
Again, yes, and easier to find too.
And do I understand that people who have been impacted this are supposed to have received a card or a letter explaining this?
There have been 2 mailings now of precinct cards, and each person that has been impacted by this should have received a new voter card, and on that card it will show their new voting location and the address and so forth. We sent out 2 mailings just to make sure. And I hope everybody opens their mail. I hope they look at it. But obviously we've done public hearings. We had 2 of those. We've done a presentation to the City Commission and also to the County Commission. The newspaper has been very accommodating in putting maps in there and also listing all of these changes that we've made.
And if anybody still has any questions, they can contact the office, right?
Absolutely. Just call the election headquarters and they'll be glad to explain. They can look it up. Or if you have an issue, you can go to the Secretary of State's website, and there's a little line in there called My Voter Page. And you can click on that, input your information. It will give you your voting location. It will give you your voting history. I mean, it'll give you a lot of information, and also your sample ballot.
All right. Jerry, thank you much.
You bet. Glad to be here.